You think canned foods are the safest backup for hard times, cheap, convenient, and always ready on the shelf. For decades, we've been told they're a survival essential, something you can depend on when everything else runs out. But here's the part nobody talks about. Not every can in your pantry is actually built for long-term survival. Some carry hidden risks that quietly wear down your health, especially if you're over 45. Inside those metal walls, you'll find things you won't see, won't taste, and won't smell: chemical linings, extreme sodium levels, and bacteria that thrive in silence. And the worst part? These dangers don't strike right away. They build over time, exactly when you need your body to be at its strongest. In this list, I'll uncover 6 canned foods you should never rely on if you're building a survival stockpile. And just when you start thinking nothing is safe, I'll reveal 2 overlooked canned foods that could actually become priceless lifelines when shelves are empty and supply chains break down. Because the truth is, your stockpile can either protect you or quietly work against you. And knowing the difference might be the most important prep you ever make. Number 6, canned cream. You can smell it before you even peel back the lid, that thick, salty aroma of canned cream soup. For many people, it's pure nostalgia in a can. Mom used it in casseroles, Grandma used it as a quick lunch, and for decades it's been marketed as comfort food. But for anyone over 45, especially if you're watching your blood pressure or your kidneys, this isn't comfort, it's a hidden trap. Here's the problem. One single can of cream of mushroom or cream of chicken soup often packs 800 to 1,200 milligrams of sodium. That's nearly half of your recommended daily limit in just one small serving. And if you're on medications like ACE inhibitors or diuretics for heart health, that sodium spike isn't just uncomfortable, it can throw your entire system into chaos. And it's not just the salt. Inside these cans are thickeners, modified starches, and phosphate additives. Phosphates may sound harmless, but the National Kidney Foundation warns they overwork aging kidneys, especially in people with chronic kidney disease. Add in preservatives and artificial flavors, and suddenly what you thought was food security is more like a slow health sabotage. The worst part? You won't taste the danger. You won't smell it. You won't see it. But it's there. A can of cream soup doesn't tell you that its linings often contain BPA, a chemical linked to hormone disruption. Over time, especially if the cans sit in a warm pantry, those chemicals seep into the food you think is safe. And this isn't just theory. In 2021, multiple major brands had recalls of cream-based soups due to packaging defects that risked bacterial contamination. The FDA reported swelling cans, leaking seams, and the very real threat of botulism, a toxin that doesn't announce itself until it's too late. So let's stack it up. Sodium, phosphates, BPA lining. Preservatives. That's a chemical cocktail aging bodies were never designed to handle. A better choice? Keep it simple. A carton of shelf-stable low-sodium broth paired with powdered milk or dehydrated vegetables gives you the same base for cooking without the kidney-crushing load. Because in survival, you don't need nostalgia, you need nutrition that won't fail you. Number 5, canned fruit cocktail. You pop the lid, and the first thing that hits you is that syrupy sweet smell, the kind that takes you back to childhood lunches and Sunday desserts, bright peaches, cherries, and pears swimming in golden liquid. For many, it's nostalgia in a can. But here's the truth no one tells you. For anyone over 45, that can isn't a treat, it's a trap. One single cup of canned fruit cocktail in heavy syrup delivers 25 to 30 grams of sugar. That's as much as a can of soda. And if you're managing diabetes, prediabetes, or high blood pressure, that sugar surge doesn't just satisfy your sweet tooth, it spikes your blood sugar, stresses your pancreas, and leaves you weaker when you need strength the most. And it doesn't stop with sugar. The syrup also pulls water out of your system, creating mild dehydration, something most people don't notice until it's too late. In a collapse scenario where water is already scarce, that hidden effect could make all the difference. The invisible danger? You won't see the fermentation starting inside a dented or swollen can. You won't taste the early bacterial growth. You won't smell the chemical changes in the lining. But they're there. And once that fruit turns, what looks like survival food can quickly turn into a gut-wrenching setback. Real incidents prove this isn't rare. In 2022, the FDA issued multiple recalls on canned fruit products because of seal failures that risked contamination with mold and pathogens. Entire batches, millions of cans were pulled from shelves. Imagine if you had stockpiled them, thinking they were safe. And let's not forget the additives. corn syrup, artificial coloring, citric acid, calcium chloride. One after another, they stack up into a chemical cocktail your aging body doesn't process the way it once did. The pretty colors and sweet taste disguise a load that wears down your system. A smarter alternative? Opt for canned fruit in 100% juice, no added sugar, or better yet, store freeze-dried fruit that lasts longer, weighs less, and doesn't sabotage your health. Because in survival, you don't need childhood sweetness, you need steady energy and clean nutrition your body can actually use. Number 4. Canned pasta with meatballs. You hear that familiar hiss as the can opener pierces the lid, and the smell of tomato sauce and soft pasta fills the air. For many, it's the taste of childhood quick spaghetti nights, easy lunches, or a hot meal straight from the can. It feels like comfort, it feels like security. But for anyone over 45, canned pasta with meatballs isn't comfort at all, it's a quiet health hazard. Here's why. A single can of pasta with meatballs often carries 900 to 1,200 milligrams of sodium. That's more than half of your daily recommended limit in one sitting. For someone managing high blood pressure or heart disease, that sodium overload can send your system into chaos. Add in the fact that many seniors take medications like lisinopril or spironolactone, and the risks multiply: fluid retention, kidney strain, and sudden blood pressure spikes. And the trap doesn't end with sodium. Tomato-based sauces are acidic, which means they can actually pull chemicals from the lining of the can. That's where BPA comes in, a compound linked by the CDC and WHO to hormone disruption and long-term health risks. You won't see it, you won't taste it, you won't smell it, but it's there. Real-world recalls prove it's not just theory. In 2019, a major brand of canned pasta meals was pulled from shelves due to packaging defects that risked bacterial growth. Millions of units were recalled, proof that even big-name products can fail under storage stress. And then there's the ingredient list itself. Sodium, preservatives, nitrates, corn syrup solids. One by one, they stack up into a heavy load your body struggles to process, especially in a crisis when strength and stamina are everything. Instead of fueling you, this so-called survival food leaves you sluggish, thirsty, and at higher risk for complications. So what's the smarter alternative? Swap out canned pasta with whole grain pasta stored dry. It lasts for years and takes up less space. Pair it with a jar of shelf-stable low-sodium sauce or dehydrated vegetables, and you've got real fuel without the hidden chemical toll. Because in survival, you don't need soft noodles and false comfort. You need food that keeps your body strong when everything else is falling apart. Number 3. Canned sardines in oil. Crack open the can, and instantly that strong fishy smell rises up, the kind that clings to your fingers and lingers in the air. For some, it's the taste of old-school strength food, small, oily fish packed with protein, ready to eat in seconds. But in reality, canned sardines in oil can be a hidden liability in your stockpile, especially if you're over 45 and relying on them for long-term survival. At first glance, they look like a powerhouse: protein, omega-3 fats, and calcium from the tiny bones. But here's the catch: those benefits come wrapped in risks most people never consider. The oil they're packed in, whether soybean, sunflower, or even olive, is prone to oxidation. Over time, especially in warm storage, that oil can turn rancid. And once it does, you won't always taste it, you won't always smell it, but it still puts stress on your liver and digestive system. Then there's the mercury problem. Sardines are smaller than tuna, but they're not mercury-free. Eat them too often, and that buildup can affect memory, nerves, and focus, the exact skills you can't afford to lose in a crisis. Real incidents prove this isn't just theory. In 2023, canned sardines from Morocco were recalled in multiple countries after contamination with Clostridium bacteria was discovered. The warning? Botulism risk. And botulism doesn't give you an early signal, it waits. Stack on the additives and the story gets worse. Excess sodium in the brine, chemical preservatives in the oil, BPA in the can lining. Each one adds stress to your system. For someone managing high blood pressure, kidney issues, or simply trying to maintain stamina, that's not fuel, it's friction. So what's the smarter move? Choose sardines packed in water, BPA-free cans, no added salt. Even better, rotate in freeze-dried fish or vacuum-sealed pouches, lighter, safer, and longer lasting. Because in survival, food isn't just about filling your stomach. It's about protecting your health, your clarity, and your energy. And oily sardines? they may not deliver when it matters most. And if these first few cans already shocked you, just wait. The next ones are even more common and even more dangerous to stockpile. Most people fill their shelves thinking they're protected, when in reality, they're storing the very foods that could work against them in a real collapse. Want to know which canned foods are actually worth trusting when everything else runs out? Hit subscribe right now and press like so. More people can see the truth before it's too late. Number 2, canned hot dogs. The moment the lid peels back, a wave of briny, meaty odor escapes the can. Small sausages floating in cloudy liquid once marketed as the ultimate convenience food. For decades, they've been slipped into lunchboxes, camping gear, and yes, survival shelves. But behind that easy image lies a serious problem. A single can of Vienna sausages or canned hot dogs often delivers 1,200 milligrams of sodium, well over half of the recommended daily limit. For anyone dealing with high blood pressure or heart issues, that much sodium isn't just heavy, it's a direct hit to circulation and kidney health. The ingredient list tells its own story. Sodium nitrite, phosphate additives, mechanically separated meat, preservatives, each one brings its own risks. Sodium nitrite, for example, turns into nitrosamines inside the body compounds the World Health Organization has identified as carcinogenic. Phosphates, according to the National Kidney Foundation, push aging kidneys into overdrive. And the meat itself? A blend of scraps and fillers that deliver fat without the quality protein survival demands. The danger doesn't end there. The brine inside these cans is acidic enough to interact with the metal lining, pulling out BPA and other chemical residues. The scary part is that these changes don't shout for attention. There's no strange smell, no unusual taste, no clear sign of danger, but the chemicals are there, waiting. Recalls have proven this isn't hypothetical. In 2021, over 2.5 million pounds of canned sausage products were recalled in the United States because of defective seals. The risk? Contamination with dangerous bacteria. Once again, a product trusted for decades revealed how fragile it really island. Stack all of this together: sodium overload, preservatives, BPA exposure, bacterial risks, and canned hot dogs shift from survival food to survival liability. Instead of fueling strength, they create weakness, dehydration, and hidden long-term damage. Better choices exist. Dry beans, canned low-sodium tuna and water, or even shelf-stable jerky provide real protein without the chemical cocktail. Lightweight, safer, and actually useful when endurance matters most. In a survival scenario, every calorie must work for you, not against you. And when it comes to canned hot dogs, the promise of quick protein is nothing more than a dangerous illusion. Number 1. Canned stewed meat. The heavy thud of a can of stewed meat hitting the counter feels like security. Thick gravy, tender chunks of beef or pork, it looks like real food that could carry someone through tough times. For many, it's the definition of survival comfort. The reality is very different. A single can of stewed meat often hides 1,000 to 1,300 milligrams of sodium. That's close to an entire day's safe intake packed into one meal. For anyone managing high blood pressure, heart disease, or kidney concerns, that sodium bomb doesn't nourish, it destabilizes. The fat content tells another story. Creamy gravies are typically thickened with saturated fat and starch. Instead of clean protein for energy, the result is heaviness, bloating, and strain on digestion. In a crisis, when mobility and alertness are critical, that sluggish feeling can be dangerous. Then comes the invisible risk. Acidic gravies, combined with long shelf storage, leach chemicals like BPA from the can lining. No odd smell, no strange taste, no visible warning, just chemical exposure that builds over time. Recalls have exposed the weakness of these products too. In 2022, thousands of pounds of canned beef stew were pulled from store shelves due to seal failures. The FDA warned of botulism risk, one of the deadliest foodborne threats. And botulism doesn't announce itself until it's too late. Stack the full chemical load together: sodium, saturated fat, BPA, preservatives, nitrites. Each one chips away at health, and together they create a recipe for fatigue and risk rather than resilience. Instead of strengthening the body for survival, these cans quietly erode the very systems that need to stay strong. Better, safer alternatives exist. Shelf-stable freeze-dried meat, vacuum-sealed jerky, or even pressure-canned home meats provide real protein without the overload of additives and sodium. Combined with simple staples like rice or beans, they deliver long-lasting energy without sabotaging health. In survival, food must be fuel, not a hidden trap. And while canned, stewed meat seems like security in a can, it too often delivers the opposite. They say survival is about having enough food to last. But the truth? Not every can protects you. Some slowly wear you down, leaving your body weaker right when strength matters most. That's why knowing which cans to avoid is only half the story. Because here's the good news, not every aisle is against you. Hidden among the shelves are a few canned foods that can actually fuel your body, protect your health, and even become priceless when supply chains break down. And before we uncover those safe lifesavers, take a moment. If this breakdown opened your eyes, hit like right now and make sure you're subscribed. The more people know the truth, the safer their pantries, and the stronger their survival plans. They say survival is about having enough food to last. But the truth? Not every can protects you. Some slowly wear you down, leaving your body weaker right when strength matters most. That's why knowing which cans to avoid is only half the story. Because here's the good news, not every aisle is against you. Hidden among the shelves are a few canned foods that can actually fuel your body, protect your health, and even become priceless when supply chains break down. And before we uncover those safe lifesavers, take a moment. If this breakdown opened your eyes, hit like right now and make sure you're subscribed. The more people know the truth, the safer their pantries, and the stronger their survival plans. Number 1, safe lifesavers. Among the endless rows of heavy, salty, chemical-laced cans, there's one humble option that actually earns its place on a survival shelf: canned chickpeas. At first glance, they look plain beige beans in light brine. Nothing flashy, nothing nostalgic. But in survival, that simplicity is the strength. One can of chickpeas delivers 15 grams of protein and 12 grams of fiber. That means real energy that doesn't crash after an hour. Fiber slows digestion, keeping blood sugar steady, a lifesaver for anyone managing diabetes or trying to maintain stamina when food is scarce. The nutrient profile doesn't stop there. Chickpeas are rich in potassium, magnesium, iron, and folate. Each one supports core survival functions: heart rhythm, muscle strength, oxygen in the blood, and steady energy. Instead of draining the body like sodium-heavy cans, they actually build resilience. There's also versatility. Chickpeas can be eaten cold straight from the can, tossed into soups, mashed into spreads, or even crisped over a fire for a crunchy snack. No fancy prep, no wasted fuel. In a collapse scenario, that adaptability matters. Most importantly, safe options exist. No salt added, BPA-free canned chickpeas avoid the chemical traps of other foods. With minimal processing, they keep their natural balance without the overload of preservatives or hidden sugars. For seniors especially, that difference is critical fuel without the silent health sabotage. Unlike sugary fruit cocktails or greasy meat stews, chickpeas don't pretend to be something they're not. They're simple, reliable, and steady. And when shelves are empty and choices are limited, steady is priceless. In survival, food isn't about nostalgia or convenience, it's about function. Canned chickpeas may not look exciting, but they quietly provide exactly what the body needs: clean energy, protective nutrients, and long-term stability. If there's one lesson from all the dangers we've uncovered, it's this: not all cans betray you. Some, like chickpeas, truly deliver when it matters most. Number 2, canned salmon. In a world of questionable cans, one stands out as a true survival ally: canned salmon. It may not look as familiar as tuna, and it may not carry the same childhood nostalgia as pasta or fruit cocktail, but in survival, this is the kind of food that actually protects your body instead of tearing it down. A single can of wild-caught salmon delivers over 20 grams of protein and a powerful dose of omega-3 fatty acids. That combination fuels muscles, supports the heart, and sharpens brain function. When stress is high and every decision matters, clear thinking and steady energy aren't luxuries, they're survival tools. Calcium is another hidden gift. Unlike most canned meats, salmon often comes packed with its tiny edible bones. For seniors, that means natural support for bones and joints, reducing the risk of weakness when mobility is already challenged. Add in vitamin D, B vitamins, and selenium, and suddenly this one can look more like a survival multivitamin than just a meal. Unlike canned stews or sausages, salmon doesn't drown in salt or preservatives if you choose the right version. Water-packed, no salt added, BPA-free cans give clean protein without the dangerous overload that sabotages health. It's the difference between fueling your body and quietly draining it. History has shown why this matters. During past supply disruptions, salmon was one of the few canned proteins consistently praised by nutritionists for offering strength without hidden harm. Where other foods triggered recalls for contamination, salmon proved to be one of the most stable and reliable shelf-stable proteins available. And it's versatile. Salmon can be eaten straight from the can, mixed with beans for added fiber, or blended into simple patties over a campfire. Lightweight, nutrient-dense, and shelf-stable, it's the exact definition of survival-ready food. When shelves are bare and choices are few, canned salmon isn't just another can. It's protection, it's strength, and it's one of the few items that truly earns its place in a crisis pantry. Your pantry is more than just shelves and cans, it's your safety net when the world feels uncertain. But as we've seen, not every can protects you. Some slowly chip away at health, while a few rare choices actually strengthen and sustain you. The difference between danger and protection comes down to knowledge. And now, you have it. The question is, what will you do with it? Don't let your stockpile become a silent threat. Make it a shield that truly works for you and your family. If this breakdown helped you see the truth, hit like right now so more people can protect themselves too. And don't forget to subscribe because in the next video, we'll uncover even more survival foods worth trusting, and the ones you should never touch again. Preparation isn't panic, preparation is power. And the more you know, the safer you'll be when it matters most.